play to start recording. All right, so now we're recording. So again, with this word, we have morph and im. We separate it like this, and now we can join it together. Let's see. We can join this and then this again. So this is the next step. We have the word separated, and then we assign the labels. The next step is to connect the two trees, the two branches, I'm sorry, and then we need to give it labels too. Morpheme, a morpheme is a noun. So we're going to say that this is a noun. So that's it, brother. That's all we needed to do. So this tree should look more or less like this. If you did the exercise, this is how your tree is supposed to look like. Some important things to notice is the hyphen. Remember that the hyphen, this hyphen right here, is the element that is letting you know that this is a suffix and not a root, right? This is not a complete word, so it cannot be by itself. It needs a hyphen to symbolize that it's a suffix and not a root, all right? The hyphen, so don't forget the hyphen.
Professor,
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes, tell me.
How can we decide if a word belongs to one category or another? For example, morph can be a verb or can be a noun, or play can be a verb or a noun. So I'm confused.
All right, morph can be a verb or a noun, and what else?
Play, edit, plant.
Play?
Play, yes.
Play can be a noun, but it's...
Play
All
can
right.
be juego.
No, that would be game.
Juego y jugar, ¿no?
Not quite.
O editar y edición.
Okay, edit. That's different. All right. So normally we're gonna take it from the most usual. You're gonna take the most usual category. So in the case of morph, we're gonna take it as a noun because in morphology we already know that morph is an object in morphology. So that's the reason behind this. Morph, to morph in the sense of transform is not really a term from morphology. That's the reason. And for the rest of the words, try to take them as the most normal meaning. If you need to look for it in the dictionary, look for it in the dictionary. And the first meaning that appears is normally the most common meaning. So for example, in the case of play, play is most normally a verb. So you're going to take it as a verb. You're going to give it the category that is the most common category.
Okay.
Yep. We'll see. If you have more doubts, if you have any more doubts as we do the rest of the trees, just ask me immediately. But for the moment, when you give it the category, you give it the category that is the most common category, right?
Okay, Professor.
All right. So this should be more or less like this, right? Let's see the other ones. So the next one is phoneme. So as for phoneme, let's set this one right here. Okay, for example, Diane, this will be one that can be confusing because phone can be something like calling someone, or it can be like a physical phone when someone has a phone. But you need to take a look at the general context of the word. And phoneme is a concept from phonology, and a phone is an element of phonology. Anyways, this one is not so confusing. Well, at least not as confusing, because a phone, even if it is an element of phonology, it's still a noun. This one is not that confusing. That's the good thing about this word right here. All right, so in the case of phone, let's check it again. Phone is the root, and this one is a noun. Im, or the suffix im, right? It also creates nouns. So we're going to say that it is a suffix or noun. Then we can also get this together, get this one here. And this one here, and connect these two. And let's copy these elements. And we're going to say that this is also a noun. This should be, so far, it should be kind of easy because these elements are very transparent. But anyways, if you have any doubts as we do this, ask the questions. If you have a different result, tell me why you have a different result. But for the moment, this is how it should be, or this is how this tree should be. This is the one for morpheme, and this is the one for phoneme. Basically the same, because they're very similar elements. So they should have very similar constructions too.
Sorry, Professor, I have a question.
Yeah?
Why we don't put if it is an inflection or derivational?
Oh, because that's optional. We can do it. We can do it. But as I told you in the previous class, those elements, like if it is inflectional or derivational, that's only for very, very special clarification, if you really, really need it. But I don't think we need it that much in order to create the entire tree for the word. But if we want to, we can do it. We can say this is a suffix. We can say that this is derivational, and that it is for nouns. But it's not absolutely necessary. It's not like obligatory. So we can do it for clarification.
Okay, thank you.
All right, man. That's raining pretty hard where you live too. All right. Okay. So again, this is how this should look like. Oh, don't screw it up. See, the next one will be morphemic. All right, morphemic should not be so hard because we already have morpheme. So let's see. Let's see. All right, morpheme. So we have, first we have morph, just like the other one. We have im, and we have ic. Morphemic or morphemic. Okay, so let's give it some labels. So we know that this one is a noun. This one is a noun. We know that this one is a suffix, also for nouns. And let's do this. Let's do this tree up to this point. The same as the previous one, right? So this one right here, and this one right here, and this element right here. Say that this is a noun. Okay, but then we still have this. We still have this suffix right here. So let's move on. Remember, first you take the root and you move to the right, and you connect the first element and you give it the labels and everything. Then you keep moving to the right, and now we find this one. And this one is another suffix. But in this case, this one doesn't create nouns. This one creates, well, it creates a different category. What's the category that this morpheme ic creates? I don't know. Tell me in the comment section, in the chat. Okay, Daniel. Adjectives. That's correct. So this suffix is for adjectives. Good. So then all we need to do is connect the other elements. This one and this one. Then we can copy and paste this crap right here. And we change this. We'll say that this is an adjective. Okay, I want you to notice that the element that is on the right, the element that is on this side, you see this one and this one, normally the element that is on the right is the one that determines the category. So if you can see, come on, man. Okay, so this one, that's all right. That's good enough. So, as you can see, the element of the right is the one that determines the category. So, if the element on the right here is a noun, this is going to be a noun. If the element on the right is an adjective, normally the word should be an adjective too. So this should be the tree for morphemic or morphemic. It should look more or less, well, without this, of course. It should look like this. This is how your tree is supposed to look like. If you have a tree that's different or you did it differently for some reason, again, don't hesitate to tell me if you have doubts or if you feel like you don't understand so far. Okay, for the moment,
Professor, can you please repeat again what you said about the element of the right and all that is stuff?
all right, that the element on the right, when you divide the word, normally the element that is on the very right is the one that is going to determine the category of the entire word. So if you see in this first connection between morph and in, the element on the right is for nouns. So this is going to create a noun. I need it to be smaller. Here, this is worse than pain. All right. As you can see, the element on the right is a noun, so it creates a noun. But the next element that is on the far right is an adjective, so it creates an adjective. So the thing that I said is that the element that is on the right is normally the element that is going to determine the category of the complete word or of the complete construction. All right. Let's see, moving on. Okay, plants. All right, this one is actually a tree that can have more than one interpretation. If I remember the question from Diane, this is one of those cases where we can have more than one tree. So first of all, we have plant and yes. We're gonna do one tree and then we do the other version. Okay, so for this one, I'm gonna go right here. And I'm going to say that I'm going to say that plant is a noun. This is the first option. This is a noun. Then I'm going to say that this is a suffix for nouns, for the plural. And I'm just going to connect this one and this one. I'm going to take this label right here. Should have taken the noun. All right. This one and this one. And I'm going to say that this is a noun, right, in plural. If you want, this is totally optional. You can say that this is inflectional too, correct? But again, this is optional. You don't have to do it. You don't have to do it. So this is the first option of the tree. The first option for this tree is to say that plant is a noun and that this S is the plural for nouns. The other option, let's see. All right, I want to see it in the chat section. What do you think the other option is? What else can we consider the word plant? What other category can we consider the word plant to be? Mayra, pretty good. Daniela, pretty good. I can consider plant to be a verb. So, duplicate. So, I can say that this is a verb and that this is a suffix. Well, it's still inflectional, but for verbs. And this one should need to change to be a verb. All right, in the case, let's say the case of an exam, okay? If you have a word like this, I'm going to be, don't worry, I'm going to be very, very direct in the directions. If I tell you that there are words with more than one interpretation, I'm going to tell you, right? I'm going to tell you there are more than one interpretation. If not, then just any interpretation is good. If you give me the verb interpretation or the noun interpretation, that's okay, because both are correct. Both are correct interpretations in this word. So these are the two options for the word plant. The other one we have, lamps. Also, should be quite easy. All right, put this one all caps. Problem. All right, so this is obviously a noun. Where are you going, damn it? And this one is a suffix. This one is a suffix for nouns. And we just need to connect this and connect this. And then take here. And as simple as that. As simple as that, I'm going to say that this word is a noun. I don't know if there is more than one interpretation for this word. I'm going to say no. Maybe in Spanish. Maybe in Spanish we can use this as a verb, right? But not in English. I don't know if in English we can use this for the same purposes as a verb. Sí, no puede lamparear en español, pero no, en inglés no cuadra. So I'm going to say that this is kind of the only interpretation or the most common interpretation that we have for this word. I don't think there's anything else that we need to talk about. As for this one, pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Next one is kindness. All right. So for kindness, we have kind. We have ness. Don't forget the hyphen. All right, so kind is an adjective. Ness is a suffix. And normally, ness transforms words into what? Tell me in the chat. What do I use ness to create? What do I create with ness? What categories of words normally do I create? Diego, Valentina, Juliana, Estefanía, Diane, pretty good. Nouns. I create nouns with this category. So let's get this together. In this one, this one. So as you can see, ness is the element that is on the right. So this is the element that is going to determine the category of the word, because normally that's how it works in the internal structure of words. At least in English, that's more or less the way it works. The element that is on the right is the element that is going to determine basically the category of the word. Okay, so far so good.
Professor.
Yes?
The inflection and the derivation in the affixes is optional.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I can clarify it. If you need it, I can clarify. This one will be derivational. Well, actually, from now on, I'm just gonna use all the labels so we don't get confused. But just remember that it's optional. The only thing I really need is the position of the element, if it is a prefix or a suffix, So in this case, it's a suffix, and the category that it has, what it works for. So this one works for nouns, etc. I forgot what the word was. Kindness. This is hinted. Hinted and then players. I'm gonna move this to the end. Can you say that kind is a noun? You can say that. You can say that kind is a noun, but not when it combines with ness, because normally ness doesn't really combine with with uh, with other nouns, and the meaning of kindness is more related to the adjective kind. The adjective kind. You need to pay attention to how those elements contribute to the complete word. Acuérdense también que cuando ustedes están distinguiendo, cuando están describiendo un morfema, también tiene que ver cómo el morfema contribuye al significado total de la palabra. Entonces, en este caso, kindness, ¿sí? El significado de kindness está más relacionado al adjetivo kind que a kind como tipo, ¿sí? Entonces, por eso cuando lo armamos el árbol, decimos que kind es adjetivo más que sustantivo, porque si lo vemos como sustantivo, entonces el significado de kind no le contribuye nada a la palabra kindness. ¿Sí? All right, you're welcome. All right. Hinted. Okay. So, what the hell happened with my... What the hell? Oh, there you are. Hinted. Now, hinted is divided like this. By the way, people, it kind of started raining again where I live. So if I lose connection from one moment to the other, please be kind of patient. Maybe I lost electricity. For the moment, it's fine. All right. So we're going to say that hint, first of all, hint is a verb. And we're going to say that this is a suffix. Now we can say that it's inflectional. And normally we use it for verbs too, for the past, right? So we just need to connect this and this. I'm going to steal, come on, move. I'm going to steal this from here. And I'm going to say, okay, so in this one, we can also say that hint is a verb, but we can also see that hint, if you look at it in the dictionary, hint can also be a noun. But why do we say that it's a verb? Because it is connecting, it is combining with ed, and ed doesn't really combine with nouns. It combines with verbs, right? So that's why we need to say that this hint is a verb in order to create, well, the past form of this verb. All right, players. Ah, come on. What the hell, man? That's it. Right, so players should be divided like this. Right, first of all, we say that this is a verb. Normally this suffix is going to combine with verbs like write, writer, play, player, I don't know, run, runner, sing, singer. So this one is a verb because normally this combines with verbs. Er, this this one is a suffix. This one will be derivational if we need to clarify, and this one is for nouns. Right. So let's connect those two things first. We connect this one so we don't get lost. We connect this one and we connect this one. I'm gonna take this one right here. And we're gonna say that this is a noun, player. Then we have the S. The S would be also a suffix. In this case, it will be inflectional, and it is also for nouns. Normally for the plural, right? So now we have to connect this. Connect it to this. And I'm gonna just, and this is another noun. So then again, this is the way this tree should look like. It should look more or less like this. Again, this extra label is not obligatory. I can do this perfectly and erase this one too, if I want to. As long as I know that this is for nouns and that this is for nouns too, it's all fine. But I'm gonna leave it there just for the clarification. All right. Okay, so I feel that so far so good. All right, editor. As for editor, we begin with edit, and we continue with or. We can say that this or is more or less is an allomorph of like in player, right? They more or less have the same function. So we can say that these two are more or less allomorphs of each other. Leave this very far away so it doesn't interfere, just for you to remember, just for you to notice. All right, edit. So again, these types of morphemes or an they normally combine with verbs. So that's what we're going to say that edit is a verb. We're going to take it as a verb. This one is a suffix. This one is for, wow, it's derivational. And it's for nouns normally. So now we just combine this with this. We're just going to steal this one from here. And I'm going to say that this is a tree for editor. Again, the only reason I'm putting this here is because they are related, or and are allomorphs. Remember the concept of allomorph? It's when the same morpheme with the same function has different pronunciations, different realizations. All right, so again, so far so good. This will be for editor. Okay, how about encouragement? All right, this should be an interesting one. No. All right. Encouragement. So I'm going to begin with N. And I'm going to follow it up with courage. And I'm going to follow it up with meant. Okay, for this tree, it's actually very important that you did this. Remember that I showed you some important considerations and that you needed to check every step of the tree to form a recognizable word. We're going to see that with this word. So let's begin with the root. Because that's normally where we should begin, the root. So the root goes as follows. Courage. Courage will be a noun, right? She has a lot of courage. Meant. So as we said, we're going to move to the right. And this will be the S for the suffix. This will be derivational, and it will be for nouns. Oh, sorry, yeah, for nouns. So let's see if you can spot the mistake. I'm gonna go here, and I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna steal this from here. And I'm gonna say that this is the thing, encouragement. And then I have the prefix. I told you that most of the time, the prefixes are connected last. So let's try to do that now. And, oh, this one will be a prefix, not a suffix. This one is normally derivational. And we're going to say that this one works for what? Okay, this one is kind of weird here because of the word we're going to create. This is kind of weird. So let's connect it. Okay, so as you can see, there is a problem with this tree. There is a problem with this tree. And if you have it like this, you may have an inconvenience. So let me show you why. Give me a second. So I told you that every step of the tree is supposed to create a real word of English. Okay, you got it in this. If I do it like this, and I get this ugly thing, no. If I do it like this and I create encouragement, I create something that is not a real word in English. And then I have even more problems with the rest of the word. You see? That's why this construction would be incorrect. In this case, what was the part that I mentioned? This is where the exceptions come. So I try to tell you when I was teaching you the trees that there are some exceptions that sometimes happen to the rule of the right. This is one of these exceptions. In this case, the prefix cannot be attached last because it's going to create this problem right here, encouragement, which doesn't exist. And then we have to do what Andres is telling us. So I'm going to do the right tree for this one. So I'm going to begin on the right side. So courage is a noun, but then I need to begin on the left, on the prefix. For this one, I'm going to have to begin here. So first of all, this one is a prefix, still a prefix. This one is still a prefix, still the relational. And in this case, normally, what does "and" create? What does the prefix "and" create? What categories of words? You can tell me there in the chat. Okay, this one, Rianio, you got it right. Normally, the prefix "and" creates verbs. So I cannot begin, as I showed you before, I cannot begin on the right. I'm gonna have to begin on the left. So this is one of those exceptions. So this one that was weird before now is more clear. Encourage. And encourage is a real word in English. If you look for the word encouragement, encouragement doesn't exist. It's not a real word in English. But if you look for encourage, you're going to find that it is a verb. So this will be the right step. this one, encourage. Now we only need to move to the right, now that we have the first part right. Come on. So we just need to connect this with this. And now we can say that meant is normally a suffix that creates nouns. Now I can say that this is a noun. You see? So that's basically why I told you about those considerations, and I told you to check if every step of the tree is creating a correct tree, a correct word of English. Whenever you see that you're not creating a correct word in English or a word in English that exists, that is acceptable, then you need to see other ways of beginning your tree or moving to the other side and see if it fixes the problem. So this is one of those exceptions where we needed to move to the left instead of the right. So this one we needed to move here. That's good enough. So we needed to move to the left and not to the right in this case. That's basically what I'm trying to say. But again, you realize that because you're supposed to follow this consideration. Every step of the tree must form a recognizable word. You see? So if you check your trees, when you do your trees, if you check them and you feel that something is weird with the words that you created, then maybe you need to move in a different direction. All right, we're missing kingdoms, missing quite a few actually. Okay, so let's do this one. The kingdoms, we begin with king, we move to dom, we move to the S. And this one we say that king is a noun. So dom is a suffix. Well, it's a suffix that's derivational and it's also for nouns. And the S is another suffix. This one will be inflectional, also for nouns. For this one, we can do the regular way, beginning on the right. So we begin on the right here, and we connect it. And we say that this is a noun. Right here is a noun. And we do the final connections right here. And right here. And this is also a noun. So not too many problems with this one. This one was more straightforward, a bit clearer. All right, let's see about unlikely. So for unlikely, we begin with un. Don't forget the hyphen. Like and ly. Okay, so for this one, we're going to begin with the root. All right, so what should we say about this root? This one is a little bit more difficult to do, but I just need you to follow me on this one. Just making sure, because like can also be an adjective and an adverb from time to time. So I'm just making sure I'm doing this correctly. Okay, in the case of like, the most normal category that we can assign to like would obviously be the category of verb. But what's the problem? The problem is that normally this ly doesn't combine with verbs too much, or basically at all. Normally, ly is going to combine with adjectives, right? For example, rapid, rapidly, or quick, quickly, or hard, hardly, etc. So following those cases, following those examples, we may say that like in this case is not being used as a verb, but more as an adjective. All right. But nevertheless, if you told me that this is a verb, I wouldn't take point from you. Oh, what the hell happened? Everything disappeared. Okay, so PowerPoint decided to hate me now. Disappear my stuff. Okay, let's do this again. Like unlikely. It's taken as a verb. We're going to take it as a verb in this case. But since it is combining with ly, and ly normally combines with adjectives, we might want to say that like is being taken as an adjective. But the most common category for like, the one that is the most common, is the verb. So we're going to take it as a verb in this case. All right, ly. Ly is a subject. Not a subject, a suffix. This is a suffix, normally derivational, and this one is for adverbs. Let me put a period right here. This one is normally for adverbs, likely. So we just combine this with this. I'm going to steal this label. And I'm going to say that this likely is an adverb. Now we just need to connect it to the prefix. And we can say that the prefix would be, first of all, prefix, normally derivational, and, well, in this case, we can also take it for adverbs because it's creating the same category. The result is the same. So likely and unlikely basically belong to the same category. Right there. All right, so the tree should look more or less like this. Okay, what's our next word? Anti-Sovietism. Anti-Sovietism. Now let's move on here. We have anti-Soviet and ism. Okay, so let's begin with the root. So the root, in this case, we're going to take it as a noun. So why am I going to take it as a noun? I can also take it as an adjective, right? I can also take it as an adjective, but normally Soviet or normally ism is a suffix that normally combines with nouns. So I'm going to say that Soviet is a noun too. And it also works as a noun. It works as a noun or as an adjective, but in this case, it is more likely to combine with ism as a noun. So ism is a suffix, it's derivational, and it works for nouns. And, oh, before we do that, we're going to do this connections. Steal this label. And I'm going to say that Sovietism is a noun. Then I just need to do the connections up to the end. So anti, it will be a prefix, this will be derivational, and this will be also for nouns because it creates another noun, anti-Sovietism. So basically, it doesn't change. So we can create this one again. So this one should be the tree for anti-Sovietism. It's basically all nouns. All right, all right. Okay, readings. This one should be interesting too. You got read, the ing, and the s. So in this case, we begin with the root. Read. We say that read is a verb. And what about the ing? So, question for you guys. What do you think about the ing? Is the ing for verbs in this case? Or what do I say about the ing in this one? Because normally, all right, Diego, that's correct. Yes. Okay, Mayra Santiago, that's correct. In this case, I cannot say that the ing is for verbs, because if it was for verbs, then it could not be able to combine with the s. In this case, I'm taking the ing as derivational and not inflectional for nouns. Create a noun, reading. I'll take this one. So this S should be also a suffix, in this case inflectional for the plural and also for nouns. All right, so it should look more or less like this. This should be the tree for readings. All right, just 3 more words. Discourages, forgetful, and reestablish. All right, so this we got another word with courage. So in this one, we have the same situation as the one with encouragement. We have the same situation. We cannot begin on the right. In this one, we have to begin on the left because of the same situation that I told you about last time. So this one, at the beginning, we're going to say that courage is a noun. But in this case, we're going to begin on the left. So we're going to say that this is a prefix, normally for, yes, derivation. And normally this one creates verbs, discourage. So we're going to say that this combined with this creates the verb this one creates the verb discourage, which is a normal word of English. Then this one, this S at the end, this will be a suffix. In this case, it will be inflectional, and it will be for verbs. It will be the third person singular. So we can combine it just You can combine it just like this. Discourages should look like this. Okay, and we arrive to the last ones, forgetful and reestablish. These ones are pretty simple. We're gonna begin with forgetful. So I told you last time, I think I did it when we did an exercise about this, that forget is not really for and get, because the meaning of for and get, they don't really create the meaning of forget. So we're not going to say that for is a suffix and or get is a root. We're going to say that forget is the complete root. Again, because for and get, the meanings of for and get, they don't create forget. So I don't take them as two different elements. So this will be a root, and it will be a verb. This one is normally suffix. This one is a suffix, normally derivational, and normally this one creates adjectives. So we just combine this one and this one in order to create the adjective forgetful. And then again, this is how the tree should look like. And lastly, we got to the end. Oh my God. Didn't think it was going to take so much time. This would have been so much easier with a board. But oh well, that's what we have. Reestablish. So for reestablish, we begin with r or re. We follow it up with establish. And it should be as simple as that. We're going to begin with the label for the root, establish, which is a verb. And then we're going to move on to the label for this one. Re is normally a suffix, a prefix, sorry, that works for verbs. So this one is a prefix, derivational, and this one normally works for verbs. So if we combine this one with this one, what we did essentially is create another verb. That's basically what we did. All right, so with that, we finished making the trees for basically all of the words in the exercise. Let's stop recording right now.